I really wanted to learn more about how you're plugging away at the mangroves and using pilchards and shrimp and crabs and everything to catch these fish up against the mangroves.
First cast, man.
And I tell you what, whammo. Nice.
What do you got?
This is a good fish here. What is that?
Snook, big snook.
Snook.
Nice snook. He's
Yes.
in the trees, man. He's gonna want to get in there. What is that? Is that a little tiny bull shark, Tom?
I tell you what he is. He can bite you.
Yes! Look at that guy! That is a shark.
That's the biggest fish I've ever caught.
I thought you said you had
I got him, relax.
Oh! Dude, he just ripped my boat off.
Saltwater Experience, presented by Yellowfin, with Captain Tom Rowland and Captain Rich Tudor.
Well, in these conditions today, if we have bait, pilchards, we have 100 pilchards, there's a lot of options. This high water, without bait, not many options.
Well, being able to find the bait is probably, in a lot of cases, more important than being able to find the fish.
I know where the fish are. They're really close. But I wouldn't feel confident getting a bite without some pilchards. All right, here we go. Coming in good.
Another good throw. I really like fishing up here around the mangroves because that's something that down in my area, as soon as we got the trolling motors, as soon as we got the bay boats, I was like, man, I'm gonna explore these mangroves. And one of the things about my mangroves down in the lower keys is it's all clear water. Unless I've got a school of mullet right there next to it, it's all clear water. So I really don't get to fish for snook that much. So I wanna come up here, check out the way you do it, and there's no better way to do it than starting the day off by catching a whole bunch of pilchards.
Yeah, man.
And that was also cool because that situation right now, I'm sure I could make it happen in the lower keys, but that's not how we're catching our pilchards right now.
That's one of the first ways I learned to catch them, was chumming them like that. We used to consistently on the incoming tides, on the backsides of any of the channels up in Islamorada, those pilchards will be there and just putting a block of chum out, waiting. But it didn't take long before the pilchards came up, and a dozen throws, had a live well full, a couple hundred baits, and then it's a matter of, where we're gonna go first. And so we ventured a little further back, ran back into the Everglades a ways.
What a great way to start out. I love going into the Everglades because there's so much bird life and there's so much wildlife just there. That day we were seeing all these different kinds of birds, pelican, cormorants, ospreys, it was all there, different kinds of herons. And, to me, going back there it's as much a trip about, seeing that kind of stuff as it is anything else. And, fishing's kind of a bonus. But I really wanted to learn more about how you're plugging away at the mangroves and using pilchards and shrimp and crabs and everything to catch these fish up against the mangroves. And boy, you showed me right away.
I just started working that shoreline, and sure enough, didn't take long, boom. And that's a big fish, man.
Way to go. That guy was just right under one of those little branches, huh?
He was out actually way away from the trees. I was actually reeling it in when he bit. First cast, man.
And I tell you what, whammo. Nice.
Yeah, that's a good fish. That's awesome. Oh, look at that, another big boil there.
Barely hooked, man.
Be careful, I don't know if that was a shark or what, but a big boil right behind us. Nice!
That's a fat one.
Nice, that is cool.
Look at that hook, he is barely hooked. Look at that, came right out. What was that? Like some stuff in his gills.
He's fat, huh?
Yeah.
That's a chunky one.
Good one.
That's awesome, awesome.
I love the snook.
Pretty sweet, man. Pull up here and there's a bite.
I love the snook and I don't like the horse flies.
Oh, watch out, because there's something big boil. I don't know if it's a shark or another snook, but that's nice.
He's holding on to my thumb. And he's deciding he's ready to go. All right, big fella. And what a nice snook. I mean, that's exactly what I wanted to see. So I'm thinking, man, I don't know, man. Home field advantage, I don't know if I can keep up, but I started to get my pace down the shoreline a little bit. I was starting to hit it in the right spots, and eventually I started catching them as well.
Redfish?
Nice redfish.
Nice. Power pull. Right on in that point, huh?
Yeah, well, back in that little bay there.
You threw in that one bush and wham, nice redfish.
It was cool to get in there and fight him, and then just take a look around and see all the birds and the different stuff, and just the beauty of the Everglades. Really kind of a cool spot, and just to know how much life is there. I mean, while we're fishing there are redfish pushing up on the flats, there's sharks, and there's birds wading out on the flats.
Dolphins.
And dolphins all over the place. Just an incredible area for wildlife and wildlife watching, and you know, for a bird watcher, it's like paradise.
Good job, my man. What do you eat, pilcher?
Yep.
On a jig head?
Uh-huh. Look at that blue on his tail. Man, that is really blue. I mean, like, beautifully blue. All right, big boy. I'm gonna go catch your brother.
Oh, look at him go, all around the boat. It's crazy. Shark. How about that?
You got a shark?
Yeah, man.
Saltwater Experience, presented by Yellowfin, is brought to you by Yellowfin, only in a Yellowfin. By Mercury. By Hawks K, the only key you'll need. And by Motor Guide, Costa Sunglasses, and Power Pole.
Every one of those islands back there has fish, and you know, that particular spot's just one of the many that I've actually explored that traditionally go back to, but every one of those islands can have fish on them, and those mangroves themselves are the key, you know, just places for them to hide, you know, especially with that current that was ripping out through there. They could hide on those points. I remember that one point when you got that snook bite, you know, we were coming by there, right where you got the same redfish. You went back in there with a pilcher, and wham, you know, you knew you had a different bite. What do you got?
This is a good fish here. What is that?
Snook, big snook.
Snook.
Nice snook. Keep
Yes.
in the trees, man. He's gonna want to get in there. Nice snook, man. Good job.
Wow.
Woo, that's a big one. Oh, watch yourself.
You know how I like to get my feet wet.
I think those snook are just laying, and those reds are laying under those points. Sometimes they're, you know, migrating in and out as the water levels drop. But you know, it seems like, you know, as that water's high and falling at that spot, they just kind of sit on those points and hide under the bushes and wait for something to swim by.
I knew as soon as I set the hook, he was a different kind of fish.
I grab him.
He just kind of pulled a little bit different.
Very
That
cool.
is a good fish. I don't get to catch a lot of snook.
Oh, you know, I thought we'd
Sweet.
we haven't been seeing this many snook.
Look at
More
that
reds
guy.
around. Nice
That
job.
is awesome.
Good.
I love the snook.
Good size one too.
She reminds me of, reminds me of a largemouth bass.
Those gill plates, man.
What they
Rip
do.
you up. Very cool. Was that a
Wow,
pilch?
he was not hooked very well at all. That
Is
was
that a
on a
pilcher?
pilchard. What a nice fish. I love the snook. God, he could eat a lot of big fish. Look at that, man. That guy's mouth is
Heck yeah.
down the hatch. Thump.
That's the same place we got the redfish bite too.
Yeah. I was under there pretty far that time.
Nice job.
All right,
man. Well
Mr.
done.
Snook or Snook or whatever you might like to be called.
Nice, man.
He's biting me.
Watch a big shark didn't come up and bite him and you.
They just hold on till they're ready to go.
That's what the lemon sharks do too.
All right, big boy.
But once that water got too low, it seems like that bite turns off, and that's what, you know, we could just see the birds off on the horizon, and just, you know, as their legs were getting, you know, longer, that water's dropping and dropping and dropping. You know, it really got a little too low for that spot, and that's where, you know, just, hey, let's go to another one. One of the other.
We got a live well full of bait, and with the Florida Bay and you know, all of the Florida Keys, you got such great tidal differences, and that's very confusing to a lot of people, how at one spot can be 4 or 5 hours different on the tide. But once you learn that, that's the greatest advantage of fishing the Florida Keys, because you got an incoming tide here, you got an outgoing tide over there. You can find anything that you're looking for. And we went to this other place, and it was just booming with life, man. There were mullet jumping everywhere, and the water is just cloudy with mullet, you know, and I always like that because I know what's in those mullet muds. There's sharks, there's redfish, there's, you know, ladyfish and jacks and all kinds of life.
There he is. That's a good one.
Here's mine.
That's a good one.
I'm gonna get out too.
Nice. That's awesome, huh? Look at that. Look how white they are in this chalky, muddy water.
You know, a lot of people wouldn't believe that you could pinpoint a school of fish under a specific branch of a specific tree. I mean, I do that with little tarpon all the time. But you can. And I knew as soon as we caught that one, under those bushes, you know, in that specific location, under that one branch that comes out for whatever reason, that's where they were gonna be. We kept plugging away in there and started catching them one after another.
Yeah, they were schooled up. That was, you know, really what we were hoping to find is a nest of them. You know, there's, you know, I've fished that shoreline before, and that particular point, that particular tree on that shoreline that's, you know, hundreds of yards long is holding those fish, and it's amazing that they stay there for that period of time. And when we pulled up there, it was awesome. There was definitely a nest of fish sitting right under that point, and one after the other, we were on them.
Good job.
A better one. As soon as it hit the water, he just hammered it. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that one counts.
Let me slide under you. Nice. It's a good red there. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, very cool. It's a great spot.
I worked this whole shoreline the other day. You know, didn't get a bite anywhere. I was getting really discouraged. Got right here, threw in, got one bite, and just kept,
here you go.
Kept catching.
Nice
fish.
He was in there. I missed him.
Nice. Yeah, that's a decent size one. You missed another one?
I missed the pilchard.
Tell you what, we'd like to have a spot like this in those redfish tournaments.
Saltwater Experience, presented by Yellowfin, is brought to you by Lowrance and the all-new HDS Gen 2 Fish Finder Chart Plotter. Yeti Coolers, wildly stronger, keep ice longer. Bass Pro Shops, your adventure starts here. And by King Sailfish Mounts. Marine Formula Stable. And Scott Fly Rods.
Oh, there he is. That's a big
Nice.
fish. That could be a snook.
That is a big fish.
Could be a snook or a shark. Whoa, whoa, look at him go. All around the boat. Crazy. Shark. How about that?
You got a shark?
Yeah, man. I'm gonna need some help here.
He left a big swirl.
I'm gonna chase him. He's all over the place. That was cool. That was really cool. Sharks are something that are in those mullet muds. Probably the worst place you could ever swim is in that muddy water around a lot of bait, because they're gonna, just like you said, they're gonna bite first and ask questions later. That's what happened to yours. That shark is coming through that mullet mud. He sees, you know, something flutter in front of him. He takes a bite of it. Happens to be your pilchard, and I was really excited to see. You know, as you know, I really like to catch sharks, and I like them big, but I also like to see any species at its smallest. What is that? Is that a little tiny bull shark, Tom?
It's got a small back fin.
Great fight. I mean, it kind of has
It
that
does
color.
look like a baby bull.
It has a coloration like a black tip almost.
I wish I could say for sure, but you know, I don't actually know what that is. It looks like a bull shark.
You know, they always say the lemons have the two fins that are the same size. Look, he's got that square head.
I tell you what he is. He could bite you and would.
I bet it's I think it's a little bull. Looks just like him. That was cool, man. What you caught up there that day was the smallest bull shark that I've ever seen. And I'm still not 100% that was a baby bull shark, but I think it looked like one. I mean, I think it was. And, had that big dorsal fin, the thick head. Yeah, and the small second dorsal, almost like a nub. Yeah, it was a good fight on that light rod too. Yeah. I mean, we were fishing for redfish with those 10-pound rods, and that was all you wanted on that rod. Great, speedy fight, and I can't say that I've ever seen a bull shark in that area. We've seen the lemons, but you know, that was neat to catch something, you know, different. Like you say, every day on the water is something new. There it is.
Wow, cool. He is heavy, and I couldn't hold on to him any longer. I tried to.
That was pretty cool.
We got that hook out. That's good.
And without losing a finger.
You know, one of my favorite parts about fishing is that it's an experience that creates memories. It creates lifetime memories, whether you're with your son or your daughter, your wife, your girlfriend, your grandpa, whoever it may be with. Fishing creates memories, and there's one thing that I never go fishing without, and that's my camera. And today, with cell phones that have great cameras on them, almost everybody's going fishing with cameras, and I highly encourage you to take photographs of the fish that you're catching, especially if it's with your kids, because one of the things that happens to me when I see a great photograph, I blow it up into 8x10, I put it up on my wall, and when I'm working, I look at that photograph, and sometimes the memories will just come flooding back to me. I can almost smell the ocean, man. I can remember everything that happened. And the only better way than a photograph to honor a great catch is with a mount. I'm not talking about just a stuffed fish. I'm talking about an absolute perfect replica of the fish that you caught, or your son caught, or your daughter caught. And when I'm gonna trust a memory like that to somebody, I'm gonna go to somebody that really gets it. You know, in the industry, there are a lot of people that do mounts, but my friend Ray Douglas, he's an artist. He knows what these fish look like, and he knows how to represent exactly what they look like in their natural habitat. You know, there's a lot of misconceptions with mounts these days. First, that you have to kill a fish in order to get it mounted, and that was true when they used to use the skin of the actual fish that you caught to create the mount and then stuff it with some type of filling. But today, they use fiberglass molds, and they create a fish that looks way better than the old skin mounts. One of the coolest things that you can do is honor an old catch, like something that your dad did or your grandfather did, that it might be something that he talks about all his life, this one fish that changed his life, or the one big one that got away. And you know what? You can get a picture of that, or just go off of his measurements, and you can get a replica mount made from a photograph or from a description of a fish that's gonna bring all those memories back. If you're considering doing that, check out King Sailfish Mounts. I think they're the best in the business. They're gonna give you the most accurate mount anywhere.
Saltwater Experience, presented by Yellowfin, is brought to you by Quantum Rods and Reels, fishing at a quantum level. By the Florida Keys in Key West, come as you are. And by Corrosion Block, Gamakatsu, and Loadmaster Boat Trailers.
Every day's on the water, something new. You learn something new. I learned a little bit about snook that day. I learned, you know, I do a lot of chumming for pilchards, but I learned about different types of areas that you can go and chum for pilchards, and things that, you know, I'm thinking there are no pilchards around, but I just need to do it a little bit differently. And then we go up there and we get a personal best, which is the smallest bull shark we've ever caught. It may sound funny to a lot of fishermen, but as you get more experienced and as you do all this, you know, catching a bull shark that's 2 pounds bigger than the last one you caught, that doesn't mean as much as catching one that's literally small enough to fit in an aquarium or put in your live well. I mean, this thing was really like that, you know, and it was just cool to see that and to see what they look like when they're little, just like catching baby tarpon or whatever. And, you know, so it's a great day for me. Get back in the Everglades, see all the bird life and the wildlife and the variety of different things, clear water, muddy water, snook and redfish, and all these different areas.
You know, and that whole area we were fishing behind Islamorada, behind Duck Key, that's all Everglades National Park. It's amazing what a giant, you know, area of water that is. People think of the sawgrass and the Everglades, you know, way back in there as land, but a big, big portion, over 1/3 of the park, is water. And, you know, that whole Florida Bay we were exploring, just countless islands, and we tapped 2 of them.
Right.
And have it so pristine to where you can go back there all day and never see a boat, to explore all these islands that are, you know, probably haven't been fished at all, or certainly not recently. And it's pretty special.
To me, that's exciting because I've done the flats so much that to me the islands are just, it's just a different twist. And you know, it's like a lot of freshwater guys that come to the ocean and they're like, hey, I like fishing in the ocean because you never know what you're gonna get. And I like going to the mangroves because you never know what you're gonna get. It could be snook, tarpon, redfish, Goliath grouper, you know, anything.
Sharks.
Barracudas, sharks, anything could be in there. And I like the exploration, and I like the sense of adventure that the Everglades and the islands give us.
There he is. Nice fish. Oh yeah, he's trying to get under there. Throw right in behind it, Tommy. Get a double. Nice. Look at that. They look cool in that color water. Now, what's your experience when you're biting like this? You think there could be a lot in there or what?
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, there's a lot in there. If you're getting this many bites, there's a lot of them in there.
Tell you what, with those sharks around, I am not gonna stick my hands in that water though. Whew. Decent sized fish, man.
Yeah, good job. See if I can get one.
If we were in one of those tournaments, we'd be doing really, really well.
You want to be on our show? Check out our Facebook page and find out details on how you can be a guest star on Saltwater Experience.